Vision India Forum 2047 series, Amrit Kal series welcomes Shri K.V. Thomas, former Union Minister.
Thank you.
Somebody who had introduced the Food Security Act and the bill in 2013. That is the reason why the country today, is so well replenished with the food issues and the food security issues. And Dr. K.V. Thomas has taken the pains to join us on this very important day today, a day wherein we will try to have individuals like him join us and speak about their experience with the inimitable, the wonderful human being that we all knew, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, the former Prime Minister of India, somebody who held the distinguished credit or the kind of credential for having been the Prime Minister for a long duration of 10 years. Now, Dr. Manmohan Singh has had a stint as a Prime Minister from 2004 to 14, but before that, a long stint of his as a policymaker, as an academician, as an economist. And Dr. K.V. Thomas and people like him have been with him for so many years. They will take us through their experience of working with this gentleman on a personal and on a professional note. And also during their time as the minister in the government of India, when Dr. Manmohan Singh held the office of the Prime Minister. Without wasting further time, Dr. K.V. Thomas, take us through your journey, how it started, with Dr. Manmohan Singh, because this show is dedicated to celebrate the time's life and legend of the great Dr. Manmohan Singh ji. Over to you, Dr. K.V. Thomas ji.
Thank you, Mr. Goenka. I came to New Delhi in 1984 as a member in the 8th Lok Sabha. That time, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Finance Committee of the Parliament, and we used to discuss with him on many issues. He was a man with clarity on any issue connected with economic affairs, financial affairs. He had a very, very clear vision. That time, Mr. Chidambaram was also a member of the Parliament and he was in the government. And later, in 1985, after 85, he was of the Planning Commission. And those days, the first discussion for the assistance to the states was started with the discussion with the planning vice chairman and the chief ministers of the state. Those days, Mr. K. Karunagaran, veteran politician, senior politician, he was the chief minister of Kerala. So I, along with Mr. Karunagaran, used to go to Planning Commission office and discuss various issues. As you know, Karunagaran was a very, very senior politician, was very close to Indira Gandhi and later to Rajiv ji and to the family. And when we go to the office, usually I found Dr. Manmohan Singh standing on the doorsteps to receive Mr. Karunagaran. That was the way he received senior leaders. Later also I found his respect to senior Congress leaders and other political party leaders was so obliging that he took a lot of interest in any issue that was before him. And later, in 1991, he became the finance minister of Narasimha Rao government. And that time it was a wonder because there were very senior Congress leaders like Pranab Kumar Mukherjee. And at that time, Narasimha Rao took finance minister of India. And that started the change in our economy. He opened our economy. We found liberalization, privatization, and the license Raj was no more. It was very notorious before him that anything and everything, you have to go to the office of the ministers, get their acceptance to start anything. That is why it was called the license Raj. Now that was over. Manmohan Singh took very strong decisions so that nobody need go to the ministers for everything. And in the beginning, there was a lot of criticism against Dr. Manmohan Singh because he is moving away from the path of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. But later it was, and during the period of COVID, when the world was facing acute financial crisis, Dr. Manmohan Singh's policy saved Indian economy. In 2009, when I contested the election from Kochi, Ernakulam, Dr. Manmohan Singh came for the election campaign in Cochin for me and to Calicut for E. Ahmad Sahib. And after the election, when the government was formed, it was Dr. Manmohan Singh to call me over the phone that I am a member of the cabinet. And at that time, the legislative assembly at that time, so I went to Trivandrum after winning the election to resign from the MLA. So next day I came back, I joined the government, and Sri Sharad Pawar, the senior leader, was the cabinet minister. We were in charge of 4 portfolios: agriculture, food and civil supplies, consumer affairs, and cooperatives. And many people told me at that time that Sharad Pawar is such a strong man. He may not care much about his. For that, in 2004, he had 3 state ministers. So I thought I may not get many chance as a minister to act. But then when I talked to Manmohan Singh and to Sonia Gandhi, that this is the information I get about Sharad Pawar, they said, you work. And I worked within 6 months of time. I became a very close confidant of Sharad Pawar. Still we continue that relationship. And I found in the cabinet that on many issues, final say is from Dr. Manmohan Singh. Even though there were very eminent people like Sharad Pawarji, then Prabda, Chidambaram, on many issues of dispute. Manmohan Singh here very patiently, and then finally he will say, this is what I feel correct. So that will be acceptable to everybody. And later after 1 year, 2010, I was made the independent minister, and my responsibility was to implement the food security bill. And I was given the charge of public distribution and cooperatives. And that time, so many questions were asked. Even within the cabinet, there were differences of opinion. And many people said this food security bill is not practical, it cannot be implemented because the financial burden involved. But Madam Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, was very adamant. She said, the people of this country are entitled for the food. It is not the food which is given by the government as some kind of a blessing. It is the right of the people. So that work we started, we went ahead, and Dr. M.S. Swaminathan was there to help me. And finally, we introduced the bill. And in the Lok Sabha, it was Sonia Gandhi who started the discussions. After the discussions were started, he had a severe fever. He was admitted in the hospital. Then it was Dr. Manmohan Singh was in the house throughout for the 8 days. And later next day in the Rajya Sabha also, and he saw that the bill was passed. So I had many occasions to work with this man. And even after he left the prime ministership, he came to my native village, Kumbalangi, to inaugurate some of the projects which I started in my native village. He was a nice man, very smiling, not any time arrogant, very simple, very courteous, very caring.
Dr. Thomas, there were lots of ups and downs. People have been talking about history will be kind to Dr. PM Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh. History will be kind, much more kind than what life has been or life had been. Now, what do you have to say to that?
Same thing. He was a very good man. He is being loved and respected. He was simple. And his last minutes, his funeral also participated. I saw this man who is being burnt, who is consumed by the flames. But I still remember his smile in his face.
He handled issues even during the the infamous coal allocation stuff and all that. Lot of brickbats were exchanged. Lot of criticism was hurled at Dr. Manmohan Singh because in his unblemished career, wherein 91, we all remember the way the turning point of India's history could be probably 1991 is probably one of the most important ones in independent India's history. And Dr. Manmohan Singh, along with his Prime Minister at that time, Dr. P.V. Narasimha Rao ji, has been given the credit for ensuring that India today is reaping the benefits of being into the top league of world superpowers. But there were blemishes, especially the corruption issues which came to the fore in the second stint, especially in the second stint of his as a Prime Minister, 2009 to 2014. How did he handle them? And what were his role in terms of trying to ensure that things got cleared, not only at a personal
One of the
level.
issue was it was a coalition government. Congress does not have majority as a single party. So we have to carry the coalition partners. I still remember the days of 2G spectrum scandal. And that time, DMK was a partner in our government, and against the Minister of Communication, there was allegations. But later, it was found that it was purely political. Later, the BJP government came. One of the reasons for the BJP to come to power was these scandals and allegations. But none of the scandals were proved correct. Truth is, there was no truth in it. But the scandals worked, and the Congress-led government were out of power, and the BJP has now come back to power. But even when they came back to power, many of those allegations they made when they were in the opposition would maybe proved true. So I think those are all political allegations. Many of them were political allegations. That is what we found later. For example, Commonwealth Game allegation was there. Then the 2G spectrum allegation was there. But none of them, this coal allegation was there. But none of them were proved, and they could not find any truth in these allegations.
Especially the coal issue, because he was the coal minister also.
Yeah. But nobody will allege that he is involved in anything. But everything he was accused, but in none of the cases he was a culprit.
You've been in Delhi since the mid-80s, and you were also a member of parliament, and you worked with him, as you just now told us a few minutes back. During his tenure as the RBI governor, and then as the economic advisor, and then the finance minister of India, how did you see his relations shaping up with Rajiv Gandhi and with P.V. Narasimha Rao. He also probably had a very brilliant stint with Rajiv Gandhi as the Prime Minister. So during those years, how did you rate him as a bureaucrat, as a minister?
He was a silent bureaucrat, respected the political leadership. And one thing I found was his obedience and respect to the Gandhi family. He was, because when he was the Reserve Bank governor, he has to work with Rajiv ji. And so in our meetings, in our consultative committee meetings, sometimes Rajiv ji used to come, and the Reserve Bank governor was also present in some of the meetings. Then this Dr. Manmohan Singh was very courteous, was smiling. He heard all criticisms against the economic policy which has been approved by the Reserve Bank of India or followed by the Reserve Bank of India. He heard everything silently, and finally he'll speak in a simple language so that everybody will understand what is in his mind. So he was not a shouting man. He was not a shouting politician, but he was a silent bureaucrat, worked sincerely to the government in power.
You know, he is credited for a masterstroke in 2008. The nuclear issue, the nuclear deal. India is reaping the benefits of the India-US relations. Even today, till date, India reaps the benefit. How did you see that coming up, and what was the reaction that you found in your party and also in the opposition? Because Atal Bihari Vajpayee is well remembered
for one government. So in the UPA one government, one of the issues on which there was a dispute between the left parties and Congress was on our relation with the US on this atomic policy matters. And they even withdrew their support to the government, the left parties withdrew their support to the government. But now they also feel it was a wrong decision the left parties has made. They should have continued in the government. Whatever said and done, the UPA 1 and UPA 2 have taken some wonderful decisions, like the right to information, right to work, right to education, right to food. So it is not something, not only that introduced those legislation, just been implemented successfully. Even this government, the Modi government is also following to the same path. That is what I find now.
Okay. Now also, he has a spate of reforms like that he introduced during his tenure as the Prime Minister. And as you rightly pointed out, he also had an experience with the Atomic Energy Commission as a member that probably helped him strike this masterstroke in 2008. And also from the telecommunication perspective, because Sam Pitroda and Rajiv Gandhi ji were very highly credited for the telecom revolution in the country we started. IT, telecom, what were his views on these two important sectors? Because that is where the world is headed towards now.
In this telecom sector, there have been wonderful changes occurred in the country. When I came to Delhi in 1984 as a member of parliament, first time, I got it in my village and I celebrated because those days carrying their mobile to see outer sea, so they can communicate when they can get the good catch. When they get the good catch, to which fishing harbor they should go and what price they are going to. I'm pointing out a simple example. So that the revolution, telecommunication system in the country was started by Rajiv ji, and Sam Pitroda was one of the persons who assisted him, which has continued later by Dr. Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh and others.
I mean, what made Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao ji have so much faith in the economic advisor to give him the entire authority to present the budget which changed the fortunes of India forever, because he is the one who lifted the monopoly kind of carpet from India's industry. The industrial policy was introduced in June 1991, and Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh changed the economic and industrial landscape of this country forever. What made him have so much confidence in Dr. Manmohan Singh? Because there were stalwarts all around.
See, in 1991, when I was in the parliament, Narasimha Rao did not get the full support of Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi did not have that much faith in Narasimha Rao, and Sonia ji was not in politics at all. Later, I found in the case of Manmohan Singh, Sonia Gandhi had a full faith. That is why when the prime ministership came before the Sonia Gandhi in 2004, she said, "No, I don't want. I give to somebody else who was born in this country." And that is how Dr. Manmohan Singh was made the prime minister. And even though everybody says it was a back seat driving, actually, the Manmohan Singh had a full freedom, even though he consulted on every issue with Sonia Gandhi. We found that he had a full freedom on running the government. Might have Sonia Gandhi have made some suggestions only. That is, I know, except in the cases like food security bill. She wanted that bill, that bill has to be introduced and implemented. But Manmohan Singh had the full freedom to run the government. That is what I have found. And one of the reasons may be that the confidence president had on Dr. Manmohan Singh.
He is, there is a kind of a loose terminology which is used for such a great personality, the accidental prime minister. Now, what you just now spoke to us leads us towards the next question.
So in our life, everything is accidental, which is not accidental. I was born in Kumpalagi, a small village in 1946. I was accidental. I came to Delhi in 84 as a member of parliament. Just an accident in our life. Everybody's life, things happens. Maybe the will of God. But I think Mr. Manmohan Singh, when he became the prime minister, he had the full support of the Congress party and full support of the Madam Gandhi.
No, the phrase was probably attributed to his reticence in most of the issues, and probably people attributing to decisions and the kind of entire hold being controlled by Mrs. Gandhi. That is the reason why probably he was given this particular phrase. A flip side to his personality, probably.
But with my connection with Madam Sonia Gandhi and also with the Dr. Singh, both of them are special personalities who have got their own views on many issues. But as a team, when they worked as a team, they went together. I remember in 2009, when I won the parliament election, when I was called to Delhi to be in the cabinet, first it was Dr. Manmohan Singh talked to me over the phone. Then he gave the telephone to Madam Gandhi, and Madam Gandhi said, "So, okay, come tomorrow, join the government." So, on every issue, I'm suggesting even very small issue, they went together as a team. I think the success of UPA 1 and UPA 2 is that the President of India and the President of the Congress Party went together with a common ideas, common vision, and united mind.
What about his views on minorities? Because he also came from the minorities, and this is something for which Indian politics is, not known for very courteously in the global circles. Because today things are boiled up to an extent wherein secularism has become a kind of a buzzword for garnering votes. Earlier also it was, but today probably it is something which is become so important that the make or break of a nation depends on the religious identity. What were his views on the minorities and the way they should be handled so that the majorities also feel secure and they also feel, do not feel oppressed, the minorities.
See, Dr. Singh respected the minorities. I still remember an incident in my constituency. He had to come to Kochi to inaugurate the Dubai port at a village called Vallarvadam. And Vallarvadam there's a pilgrim center where there is a church in the name of Mother Mary. So as this function has been arranged near the church, it was decided that Prime Minister should come to the house and to the church and pray with us. But later, due to some other reasons, he could not come. But it was decided that from the main road, a side road has been conducted to the venue of the meeting, proposed meeting, which was very nearer to the church. So once that road is being constructed, the church will be benefited. So even though the Prime Minister's program of inaugurating this project, Vallarvadam Container Terminal, Dubai Port Terminal, it was so that the pilgrim center is being benefited. So on even the small issue, these were very small issues, but on all these issues, he took special care. Then T.K. Nair was the secretary to the Prime Minister. So he gave, I talked to Mr. Nair that this road has to be completed so that pilgrims can go to the church. Okay, even the Prime Minister's program was cancelled, the construction of the road was completed. Even now, it is being used.
Dr. Manmohan Singh is also, questioned sometimes for not being able to have won the Lok Sabha. But having been in the Rajya Sabha for 33 years, almost 23 years as the 10 years as the Prime Minister also, he was given the Rajya Sabha seat from Guwahati, from Assam, Sarutarai in Assam. Now, what was his challenge in terms of winning a Lok Sabha seat? Because the current and the former Prime Ministers, they all have been contesting Lok Sabha elections and have won their respective seats.
No, in the case of Dr. Manmohan Singh, everybody knows he does not have a political background. And many of the leaders, including me, we are a part of the party. And in the party itself, there are groups and sections. And so group people will come and support us. But in the party itself, they will support us. But in the case of Manmohan Singh, he came alone. His criteria was as an economist, a well-known, renowned economist. And that was one of the reasons I think he was supported to become the Reserve Bank governor and then vice chairman of the Planning Commission, later the finance minister of India, Narasimha Rao, and his success in all Madam Sonia Gandhi to hand over this prime ministership post to him.
What was his equation like? Because as you rightly pointed out, Sonia Gandhi ji took a decision to put him in the in the hot seat, in the top seat, when she had Priyanka and Rahul ji, both of them quite capable and competent even during those days, just a matter of 10 years back. So, but Manmohan Singh ji,
we have all suggested in 2009 as well as in 2014 that Rahul ji should take the responsibility in the government, but he was not ready. So he only later stage he took the responsibility to be the president of the party after so many periods, so many times. So he was very reluctant to take the responsibility in the government. I think if he had taken the responsibility in 2009 and 2014, the picture would have been much more different.
Do you think had it been Narasimha Rao with Manmohan Singh for a longer duration, things would have been much more different than what they were by the time he became the Prime Minister?
Definitely, the combination of Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, it was a unique combination. The mind was going in the same direction, the temperament was the same, and both had a great vision for the modernization. And their modernization policies are the steps which led to today's India.
Personal front. Finally, sir, personal front. What were your observations about Dr. Manmohan Singh? Because he was a very reticent man. Earlier in his, in his early days, in his younger days, he seemed to have enjoyed a wonderful kind of a family life with his daughter, with his wife. He was based. He also held international positions. So, and then when he came back to India and when he worked in India for the last 40 years, how did you find his equations on a personal note with people, with colleagues, with party men, etc.?
He was a very loving man. See, I had a lot of occasions when he gave me care. After he stepped out of the prime ministership, I invited to my village in Kumpalangi, one of the fishermen village in the country, to inaugurate some of the projects which my trust, there's a trust I am running, Professor K.B. Thomas Vidyadharan Trust, for the welfare of the students. So he came to my village, spent time, and talked to the villagers. And I still remember the village panchayat took a decision that the panchayat will not touch the liquor. So it would be liquor-free panchayat in future. So they gave him an affidavit that because to commemorate his visit to the village will not have this liquor. You know, the fishermen villages are famous for the liquor they consume. So, but after reading this affidavit, he laughed, he stood up and laughed, and later told me that, Thomas, this is a wonderful affidavit. I know the fishermen used to take liquor, but this village is to commemorate my arrival, my visit to the village. They are not going to touch liquor no more. But I don't think this will be practical. So I remember those days when he came to my village, how he was mingling with the villagers, talking to the villagers, and spending time with them.
Dr. Singh also had one very, very strong stumble immediately after his becoming the finance minister, that is in 1992. Apart from the political issues, the stock market scandal which rocked the nation, that is something which happened during the immediate, position, chairmanship of the finance committee of Dr. Manmohan Singh. How did you see him handling that situation, because he was on the verge of resigning?
So there were so many occasions when there were crises. This was one of the occasions, but he wanted to face it. Similarly, it was one of the occasions when he was in Washington, D.C. to meet the president of USA. Here, Rahul Gandhi tore away the decision of the cabinet to pass a bill in the parliament that when allegations are against the political leaders in power, they should get the consent of the prime minister. This was the bill approved by the cabinet, but without consulting the prime minister. And when the prime minister was outside the country in public, Rahul Gandhi tore away that bill. So this is one of the occasions when people like us, what will happen, whether he will resign, Manmohan Singh will resign or not. But he came back. When we met, we said, okay, these are things which happens in politics. We have to face it with a school mind.
But all said and done, if I have to request you to sum up, as a person, as a politician, as a prime minister, what are the things probably Manmohan Singh could have done better? Something people like you can answer.
So because of the situations, the financial situation in the country, the political situation in the country, he could not take very, very strong decision. One thing I remember now, because it was decided that the number of subsidized gas cylinders from 13 was decided to bring down to 9. And then I was handling the consumer affairs. I gave a dissenting note that this will affect the family budget. And unfortunately, my dissenting note came out of the cabinet note, and it was published in the newspaper. when he was very upset and angry with me, and he, without calling me directly, talked to Madam Gandhi that this has happened, and Professor Thomas being in the cabinet, he may have different opinion, but it should not go to the public. So Madam Gandhi called me and told how this is. I said, I have differences of opinion because affect the family budget, and Madam Gandhi also agreed with that. But it was quite unfortunate that my note has gone out, published, leaked out. So I went to him. I said, I have not done it purposefully, but I stand on my views. And later, after some time, he again the subsidized cylinders. So this gentleman, he was a gentleman throughout. He was a gentleman. He was committed to the party. He was committed to the leadership, and he was loving to his comrades. I think he was a unique man. And yesterday, when I saw his body merging with the flame, I saw a man who was the great leader of this country, a silent leader, but led the nation to greater heights.
Thank you, Professor Thomas. This is a never-ending discussion because this is an enigma that we're trying to unravel. Dr. Manmohan Singh is nothing short of an enigma. People like you today who have taken time out to speak to me, to speak to us, because this is not about me or you or him also. It is about the nation. It is about the world. The world, the young generation, the country needs to learn from each and every aspect of this huge enigma called Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was truly a magician. He spun the magic for the last 40, 50 years. The results of that magic, today we are all reaping the benefits. I'm sure whatever he has done as a great politician, as a great human being, economist, prime minister, something which the nation will be grateful for, and remember him for a long time to come. Thank you so much, Professor Thomas.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar and Jai Hind, sir.